I am so excited to welcome today's guest. I have Amber Reed. Amber is the Chief Operating Officer and General Manager at the Piedmont Driving Club in Atlanta, Georgia. Amber is an incredible mentor, leader, executive, and athlete. She's also on the board of Fierce and Fearless, where I was lucky enough to meet Amber. I'm so excited to have you here today, Amber. We share a bit of common background. You
Yeah.
might hear some outs and abouts today with Amber and I both have a Canadian background from sports, being in a male dominated industry. So thank you so much for being here, Amber.
Lindsay, thank you so much. I mean, it's always amazing to find other professionals, and when they're Canadian, that's great too.
Cherry on the top or maple syrup on the top.
That's it.
So I'd love to start, Amber, by just hearing a bit of your story. So I'd love to hear about your background and where it's led you to today.
Sure. And again, thank you for having me. This is a really great opportunity. And so, a little bit about me. I am originally from Canada. I'm actually from Calgary, Alberta, and grew up just outside the Rocky Mountains. Did various adventures. We love playing in the snow, particularly, in the mountains. I originally started my education looking into more kinesiology, medical. I thought that was the way. I had a few different positions in medical admin to explore. And I ended up taking a job at the Calgary Winter Club way back when I was still going to school for kinesiology. And I had never been to a private club before. It was something that I only knew from the outside of what it was. And really quickly started to fall in love with the complexity of hospitality and that these special places became people's third place or social belonging. And from there, I learned a lot of different skills. I had some great leaders, and I moved from Calgary to Portland, Oregon, which was fantastic, and then Chicago, and then New York, and now Atlanta. And all along the way, as you said, I grew up playing all the different sports in school. I had an opportunity to play rugby. I went and lived in Australia briefly. And it's been one of those skills, I would say, both team sport and that desire to keep pushing boundaries that has also gone into my career, where I see some very similar ways that a team is formed in a sport as you do in an organization, as well as in leadership and coaching. And there's so much of that that crosses over. So absolutely drawn to the complexity of clubs, the interesting emotional investment that goes into it. And where I am now, I would say that I run a small city. It's much more similar to being a mayor of a small city than anything else. And I love it. Honestly, my journey from Canada to all the way across the US and now to the South has been fantastic. And the only thing I won't answer is which is my favorite place, because I have love for all of them for different reasons.
Absolutely. Do you get back to Calgary much, Amber?
I did. And I made the mistake of going in January 2 years ago. And I remembered what cold really looks like.
Yes.
So, kudos to everyone that still does that every year. But yes, no, I go home, and it's still the place that a big part of who I am. So I love home. And I actually try to go to other parts of Canada as well. This summer, I was actually up at Wasaga Bay with my dad just outside of Toronto. So still home for me for sure. It's been a wild ride, and I'm loving Atlanta. You got to come to the South. Oh,
Oh,
you were here last year. You were here with us. So
I love the heat, the welcoming heat of Atlanta, but I love the sunshine in Calgary. We have a lot of family in Calgary,
yeah,
and every time we go, it's sunny. Like I just
yeah.
love the sunshine there, but also love the heat in Atlanta.
Yes, that would be the thing. The summers in Calgary, the one of the things that I do miss is the really long days in the summer. I don't miss the short winter days, but the summer days, you really can't beat it. And the weather, yeah, and the people. And honestly, haven't been back to the Stampede recently, but I think I've been gone long enough. I'm ready to go again.
Yeah,
So Calgary, be ready. I'm going to come back.
great, let's go. So, Amber, you mentioned being the mayor of Piedmont. The theme I feel like that spoke to you was community. And really, what was the biggest surprise or revelation when you moved into Piedmont? It really is one of the most historic, storied, exclusive, executive, beautiful clubs there is in the country. What surprised you making that jump to Piedmont?
What I really love, the South is a unique place in so many ways. And this club really, truly, like many, but for me, the first time that I had been in a club that is this old, that has six generations of members. So even though every club I've been at has a beautiful history, they usually have a beautiful building, there's some continuity. This organization, the Piedmont Driving Club, was really around before Atlanta. And it became an important part of forming Atlanta as people know it now. And there are members who go back to the beginning of that. So the emotional and financial investment in their community is amazing. So it was something that took my understanding of membership and their care for the club and their stewardship to a whole nother level of really understanding that they are guarding their traditions as well as wanting to prepare for the future. And it's been a fantastic adventure. We also have employees that are multiple generation employees. So it's just been, again, all clubs are unique. They're all amazing. I'm grateful for every stop I've had along the way. But here there is a real connection to the city, to the South, to overcoming so much and becoming what Atlanta is today. And I see that in my members and how much they truly, genuinely care about this club, the future of this club, the employees, and Atlanta. And my board, same thing. They are so invested, but in a wonderful way.
And what have you noticed, or what have you learned about managing in a really high expectation environment, which I think is very unique to the club industry? Yes, a lot of organizations and businesses have high expectations, but what I've seen in the club industry and from working, I get the vantage point of working with organizations in corporate, public sector, private, and also club. Truly, they have a different level of expectation. So
I
how
would
do
agree.
you lead and manage in that environment?
I think it goes back to that really high, both financial and emotional investment. So their expectations are different. This is not a product to them. It's not even just a place. It is a sense of belonging, and I would even say a sense of identity. So that just leads to higher expectations, not to mention that the private club industry generally has higher expectations. Leading in it is really, again, recognizing that you've got to invest in your people, making sure that I listen first. And I would say this on both sides, to both my team members and my club members. You've got to listen first, communicate often, find the balance of being very transparent without overwhelming people with information, and then pushing people. One of the things I know we're going to come to later is books. Radical Candor for me from Kim Scott, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, and it's one of the, reading that and I reread it, I really believe, again, with my members and my team members, to get the most out of them, setting that expectation is first, I got to show them that I care deeply and then challenge directly. First, they've got to know that I genuinely care about the club, that I care about everybody's best interest. But then I'm going to push you. It's not about just making everybody happy and letting things be and not getting complacent. Setting expectations, listening to feedback, and then I would say gentle constant pressure would be another term that I use frequently. We're not trying to create a revolution, it's a subtle evolution over time. And I have to give my husband credit for that, or he will, not forgive me. That's his term.
I love that. It's so true, Amber. And I feel that in your leadership. And I know that so many, especially young women, aspire to you. They look up to you. I do too. And really it is
Very
about
mutual.
your your philosophy of caring deeply and holding people to really high expectations. And you
Mhm.
can't have one without the other. And you really feel that in your leadership.
Thank you.
So
And it's something interesting that, it's taken time because, to your point, um, I've had a lot of great leaders, and at growing my own leadership style, you start to watch and learn and see what works, and you try different things on. And that's one of the things I talk to my upcoming managers. Try some styles, but eventually you are going to find what's really authentic to you. And that's what works for me, right? Is that really I'm very, very invested. It's emotionally draining, I'll be honest, but it's how I get the best out of my people, my team, myself, and how I can uphold those high expectations because they become our expectations, not my expectations.
yeah, absolutely. The club's expectations, the members' expectations, the employees' like it's a
Mhm.
real collective community goal that you're striving to instead of just Amber's.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Another commonality that we have, Amber, and something that I want to talk to you again, because I do know that so many young female aspiring leaders look up to you because you are in a position that's typically held by men. It's a real male dominated industry, both from a board to membership to leadership. How has that shaped your leadership, and what is your take or view on that?
It's changing, which is a positive. But to your point, even clubs as a whole, many of them didn't start allowing women to be the primary member. Even the most progressive would have been 1950s. Many of them didn't actually embrace it till the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So it hasn't been that long. And so then you have, again, the boards are often dominated. I am seeing some change in that. And then in the field, the same. There's more female general managers now, but by no means are we even on par, let alone majority. In the beginning, I think I found some frustration because I would try to emulate some of my leaders and their style. And I found that women are perceived differently in leadership and what people expect them to, how they expect them to behave. I felt that I was underestimated a lot, and now I love that. I would say that's like my superpower. I love when I'm underestimated because it gives me an opportunity to over deliver, basically. So I would say, even though that's definitely dominated, I don't feel a lot of pressure from that position anymore. I think because I've become confident in who I am. You know, the last two clubs I've led, I've been the first female general manager for both of those organizations, including here at Piedmont. But my board has completely embraced that. I feel very supported by them. And I think, again, it goes back to relationships. I showed up, I showed them that I care, I showed them that I know I am competent and I know what I'm doing, but also that I am here to help them make great decisions. Because at the end of the day, it's their club, it's their legacy. It will far outlast me. And I think leaning into that empathy, leaning into that community has given me something that maybe some male leaders wouldn't feel as comfortable leading in that way. And it's been very, very effective for me. And I love it. I love to see more women, but I also, you know, some of my best mentors have been the men in the industry that have really helped me grow and find my way.
Yeah, and supported you. You know, that something that resonated with me that you just said that I certainly felt at the beginning of my career when I was working in finance and was one of very few women in that field is that I started to try to act or talk or lead like a man or like
Hmm.
someone else. I shouldn't say it, just like someone else that I thought was the group. And what I feel from you, and that what I have grown into as well, is that tapping into that real authentic piece of ourselves, you lead so much from a stronger, more foundational place. So,
Yeah.
how would you describe your leadership style, Amber?
Yeah. Okay, I love this. I love this question. And it's one of those ones that has changed over 10 years. It's continuing to evolve and something that I constantly go back to see what is my leadership style and am I leaning into it? And what I realize is I do have really high expectations, and that is for myself and that is for others. But I have high accountability for others and myself and really high empathy. So I find that if I were to summarize my leadership style, it is important to me to build culture intentionally. It's people first and always leave things better than you found them. And that is how I lead and that is how I lean in. Again, the empathy, the accountability, the expectations, but it goes for myself and others. And I would say that empathy for myself has taken the longest to develop. I've always been more empathetic.
For you, right?
Yeah, it's more for others than myself. And I've realized I also have to give myself, I hold myself accountable. I have high expectations, but I also have to have that empathy for myself as a leader. And that, to your point, what you said earlier really resonates. It's also let me be very vulnerable and honest and authentic to my team that there are times where I will say, I can't give you what you need from me today. And I know that you need my full attention and my full empathy. Can we reschedule? I, as a human, am not going to deliver what you need as from a leader today. So we're going to have to reschedule this because I realize that every time I've tried to push through that and try to present that infallible leader, it goes poorly because I'm not. I'm human. So that embracing that. And I've actually had my team here is amazing. I've worked with lots of great teams in my lifetime, but this is again a team that I really enjoy. And what I love is we've created that space where they do give me feedback. And I'm grateful because one of the big fear as a leader is that people are just saying yes to you, right? I don't want to be the one who knows the most. I don't want it to be Amber's way. I really believe in that we're doing this together and creating that psychological safety so that my team feels like they can give me both positive but also some critical feedback. That has made me feel even stronger as a leader, actually. I don't feel like I'm in a vacuum making decisions.
That's so amazing, Amber, because I think what's really unique to your position, and
Hmm.
I've seen this throughout your industry, is that you don't have a peer at your club. You have a boss and you have a board, you have people who you're leading, but you
Hmm.
don't have a peer to be able to say, hey, Amber, like,
Yes.
touch you on this. So, how have you created that culture where people on your team feel comfortable to be a dissenting view to you? Because that's scary and that is not common.
Yes. And it's taken time and it's taken energy and it's taken mistakes. Definitely being vulnerable, I found is very important. It's also repeating myself that this is what I want and then checking myself when I get it. So making sure that when I get that feedback, really making sure that I am thoughtful in my reaction to that feedback. Because I have seen where mistakes I've made in my career is I ask for it, they give it to me, then I have a human reaction and they're like, well, I'm never telling you anything ever. So again, creating that, repeating it, asking for it, and then being fully prepared that I might get something that I'm human, it may hurt my feelings. It may not be something I agree with, but I've also found a way, and this has taken a long time. So anybody out there that's junior, this did not happen overnight. I don't take it personal anymore. I've found a way to finally separate myself from the feedback. So this happens with members as well and with my team. And I try to hear what it is they're trying to give me. Because to me, feedback is an absolute gift. And sometimes people give feedback in an emotional way that makes it hard to receive. But I've finally been able to separate the two and just try to get that nugget out. So again, whether it's my team saying, I need to see you more on the floor, or I wish you would give me more positive feedback or more direct feedback. I'm just giving examples. But no matter how it comes out, or when a member comes in and they're really, really upset because they were showing off a club to a friend and it wasn't to the expectations they hoped for. So now they're feeling embarrassed of what they've said, promised their friend. I have now been able to say, okay, what are they telling me? They're actually telling me they're embarrassed because they're really proud of their club and we didn't deliver. And I need to be able to hear that because then we can make change. And so going back to the team, same thing. The one thing I tell my team is, I do expect you to challenge me respectfully and in private, but I expect you to challenge me. And that's okay, because part of, even we're doing reviews now, and that's one of the things they'll hear from me. Our review is not about me saying whether you're doing a good or bad job. You're doing a great job. That's why you're here. That's why you're on my team. Now, what we're talking about is, where do you want to develop? Where can I challenge you? Where can we expand your thinking? Where can we expand your tool belt? So reinforcing that I'm here for them, and ultimately the more feedback they give me to be better, the more I can give back to them, is sort of created again this loop of, it's not about me being right. It's about, where are we trying to get to and how do we help each other get there? And to be sport, right? You keeps going back to all the things I learned in all the sports I did growing up. That's ultimately a really successful team. The really successful teams, yes, there's stars, but it's about, if you can get that whole team to dive in for a single goal and really help each other excel and bring out each other's strengths, that's when you win. And I think, again, that's, you were so involved in sport, you still are. I'm sure you see that. There's so many things that my coach said or something that happened that pops out in my meetings now, where I'm like, okay, yeah, this is what we're talking about.
It's so true. It's so intertwined. And
Mhm.
you really created a culture, Amber, at Piedmont, and anywhere you go. You've created that culture within Fierce and Fearless everywhere you've gone,
Thank
where
you.
you've created this environment where you've allowed permission to be able to share feedback and dissenting views. And then it's how you've received it. It's that full cycle, that it's important, not just important to ask for it, but then how do you action it? How do you receive it? How do you embed it into all forms of culture that allows you to drive to excellence? Because you cannot get to excellent in a bubble with no
No.
feedback, with no we can't progress and we can't get better if we're not constantly collaborating and giving feedback and pushing and holding people accountable. I want to touch on Fierce and Fearless, which is
Yeah.
an amazing program, but tell me more about it. Tell me about Fierce and Fearless.
Yes, I know you're going to have Carrie Eiler on here as well, and she is the founder and creator of Fierce and Fearless, and I've been involved with it for the last couple of years. She asked me to join and support her going forward, so I'm very excited to be even more involved. And it was something that was created because there isn't as many opportunities for females in our industry to share, to be vulnerable, to grow. And it was really something we wanted to bring together around education, but also around networking. Because one of the things that historically males have done better is created those networks and connections where they help each other. And it was one of the things, and I can't think of it right now, but there's all kinds of studies that show that they really do have a great brotherhood that they've created over a lifetime, even with mentors, just networking. And so it was something where how do we keep it a low price point? So it's low barrier, very accessible, something that's interesting, but that anyone, even if you weren't in just the private club, but if you're in hospitality, if you're in service, you could come together, have some great speakers like you, which was amazing last year. Thank you. People still talk about it. So that was wonderful. How do we do that? How do we get some education, get some conversation going? And ultimately, the goal for Carrie and I is when people leave feeling like they've expanded their network, they have leaned in and become an even better leader in their field, that's success. I want them to be able to pick up the phone. That's my favorite, is after each event, inevitably somebody will just call me out of the blue and say, can we have a conversation? Will you hear me out on this? And I love that. At this point in my career, I mean, I still have coaches, I still have mentors. It never ends. You're always trying to be better. But I'm also now at the point where I'm excited to share what I've learned, the good, the bad, and the ugly with others. I think that it's important. And so to me, that's what Fierce and Fearless was created for. We're expanding it. We're trying to add a little philanthropy with it. We are really making sure, again, that it is about access, connection, and growth.
I have experienced it, Amber, and the best takeaway for me was the relationships that I forged, and they are not surface.
Mm-hmm.
They are deep advocates that we've created in a symbiotic relationship where I'm supporting them and they're supporting me. It really was an incredible, special culture that you and Carrie and the board created to facilitate that environment. And I know I'm not alone, that everybody who came out of it last year felt this incredible energy, enthusiasm, and connection from it. So thank you for creating it. I know I haven't experienced anything like it. You try to replicate a conference or some kind of culture building exercise, but it's phenomenal. And I can't wait for this year in Florida.
Yes, in Florida, Sarasota. And I'm so glad you're coming back because I think, again, yeah, thank you. And I love what you just said there. That's it. We're trying to accelerate those relationships because that's what it is. Creating those deep connections. Yeah, that's what it is. It's an acceleration hub for deep connections. So I love that.
It is. So, Amber, if you were to give a piece of advice to an aspiring leader, and it doesn't have to be even a young woman, a young man, what advice would you have to them?
Yes. Biggest advice I would give to anyone is you need to realize that truly there is no end to this, to your own growth, that you need to stay curious, keep seeking knowledge, try not to get insulated in just our industry as well in those relationships and seeking knowledge. Our organizations can sometimes get very isolated. And that's where I see clubs and leadership struggle when we start performing in a vacuum and not recognizing that the world is changing around us. I think there's lots of skills that are happening. I think the demand of this role has changed significantly in the last 10 years. And I think understanding the evolution of a leader and what that means, that you're not expected to be the smartest person in the room, but you are expected to continually seek knowledge to be able to give educated advice. You need to recognize that you go from doing, your lens needs to continue to expand to where now you're guiding, and eventually you're almost over top of seeing the entire game being played, for lack of a better word. You're the drone now, so that you can give some direction where you need to be able to see everything. And I think developing others is that final step in leadership. You move up, you prove yourself, then you get more responsibility. You then, at that point, have to learn a whole new set of skills to move up to the next level. And I think that's the biggest challenge that people feel, that when they sit in this chair, like that's it. It's over. And it's not. It's just the beginning. And it challenges you. You have to keep evolving. Um, and I think the biggest thing that I've learned and that I would like others to learn is it's okay to be you. Like, whatever that means, your leadership style, find it, develop it, and really use it. Because trying to lead like others, as you said, I did the same thing. You will never be as successful as if you find your style and then match it with the organization. That would be the other thing. At this point, this organization also fits me. I didn't come in the beginning of my career, I would promise that I could be whoever you want me to be.
Yeah.
Now I realize that's not true. I am very good at these things. And if that fits what you're looking for, this is going to be a sensational partnership. If it's not what you're looking for, that's actually okay. That doesn't mean the organization or me are not good or good enough. It just means we're not a fit. And I think that's the thing that I would also impart to leaders as they're growing. Find your authentic self and leadership style, and then match it with a club or organization that fits you. It is really about, it's matchmaking. I think that's what it is. And like any other relationship, if you are not being your authentic self, that will start to wear on you and the organization in time, and it will start to bubble up in uncomfortable ways.
And how do we recognize our blind spots and either work on developing them or outsourcing or filling them with other leaders on our team? But I think starting, like you said, starting with really knowing yourself
Mhm.
and leaning into that is incredible advice.
Thank you. I think that the other piece that in finding yourself, one of the things we talked about earlier, I said that, I've always had more empathy for others than myself. The other thing, there was a point in my career where I realized my career was happening to me. It wasn't me being intentional with where I wanted to go. And though it's all been very positive, I really realized I wasn't sitting down and thinking about, well, what do I want? What do I want the future to look like? And when you're younger, the future seems so long and far away that you don't feel like it matters. And as you start to move up, you start to really go, well, wait a minute. What do I want? What is important to me? Is it family? Is it freedom? Is it being able to travel? Is it being very consistent with the schedule? Whatever it is, the sooner you can define your values of what's important outside of the organization, it also helps you find the right fit for the organization. I was many years old when I figured that out.
We wish we knew when we were younger.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it helps with decision making when
Without
you're
a doubt. Mm-hmm.
on what you want or where you want to go. And that can shift and evolve too at different seasons of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
It also helps being a guiding principle for decisions, difficult decisions. As I align with who I want to be and where I want to go, yes or no, right? It makes things a lot easier when you know your North Star,
Absolutely.
your values, or where you want to go.
Absolutely.
So, one of the things I wanted to quickly touch on, Amber, that you had mentioned, because it's one of the things that we really work on at Plum. We take new leaders who have been great operationally,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're stepping into a leadership role, which is a different skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the many challenges of being a general manager is that you have to have an operational oversight. And I love the analogy of being a drone, of making sure all the pieces are working together. But equally, if not more important, but I'd love your opinion on if it's more important, are the relationships with
Mm-hmm.
your employees, with your members, with your board, with your vendors. So how do you balance operational excellence and relationships in your role?
It's hard. It's hard, honestly, because developing relationships requires a lot of emotional investment, and it's critical. But again, going back to even radical candor, people can receive feedback better when you have a relationship. There's no question. Nobody cares what someone you don't know or that you feel doesn't care about you thinks. Where you care deeply about the people who deeply care about you. To your point, I always think about the people first on both sides. Whether I'm promoted to another role within the same organization or I'm starting at a new organization, is listening, listening, listening. Trying to understand what's important to the people around me, where their skills are, where their challenges are, and trying to figure out how we can evolve together. And I find that that's the first step in building a relationship, is listening. It's literally that simple. And I feel like that's across the board for everyone. You really need to understand the other person's perspective first. If you come in trying to give them your perspective, particularly when you're new to something, it does the opposite of building that relationship. I find it often starts to build a wall of resistance. So going in, listening, trying to build that relationship. I've realized that that's hard to build genuine relationships if you don't. Now, don't get me wrong, boundaries are important. But knowing about my team, knowing what they're going through, knowing that they're human, those are things that, and with my members, same thing, like getting to show a little bit of my humanity and getting to know their humanity builds those stronger relationships. It accelerates relationships quickly. And once you have that relationship, then it's easier to start tackling operations and problems and coming up with solutions. And I also find with that relationship, they're more open to truly telling you what the issue is that we're trying to fix for the operation and also offering solutions. Yeah, operations are really tied to relationships. And I think that, to your point, that's something that's evolved. Relationships, I would argue, were probably always important, but they're more intertwined with excellence now than I think they were before.
One of the things that has been a theme, Amber, throughout this conversation is really that idea that we are all a work in progress. Till the day we die, we will be learning and changing and evolving, and having that mindset is so important. So, what are you as a leader currently working on or working towards?
That's a great question. Always, always learning. If anything, I have to sometimes stop myself because I want to learn everything. Like, right now I'm trying to educate myself on AI, and not with the sense of wanting to replace people with AI, but understanding how I actually think hospitality will become even more important with the rise in AI usage. That relationships again will be even more important. So I'm trying to understand it so that I can figure out how to position ourselves to be even stronger, possibly use it in the back of the house, but to make sure we really lean into relationship building and community. I am always trying to stay on top of industry trends and also trends outside of our industry. I try to go to the conferences. I try to make sure I have a coach and a mentor and stay in touch with people that are within the industry, but also outside of the industry to see what we can learn. So specifically for myself right now, I am trying to understand with AI changing as fast as it is, what that means for our industry and how we can come out in a place of strength and really differentiate ourselves from other hospitality offerings.
We could spend a whole episode just.
Absolutely.
What's a book, a podcast, a TV show, a resource that you would recommend to leaders?
There's so many podcasts out there. So I think easily just put in the theme word and you're going to find some great stuff out there. Another book I like is Culture Code. Daniel Coyle, I believe, wrote that one. And I think that comes back to, again, I really, really believe that in our industry, even for myself as a leader, I can only touch so many people each day. But the more that I develop my team, they're the ones that are really out delivering the service and building relationships. So I call myself a cultural architect. In the beginning, I thought that was a bit arrogant. Now I really, truly believe that is what I am, and it is intentional. So again, I really think there's a lot of great content out there. Your podcast is amazing. You've had some great people, talking about people, relationships, culture. I really think that's where it all starts, no matter what industry you're in. And then you build from there into your particular product, service, or operation.
And every leader that I talk to, they have habits or they have rituals that help set them up for success to try to proactively, actually, we were talking about this yesterday in our program, of setting yourself up so that you might not have an emotional reaction, so that you can be a little bit more centered or balanced. What's a leadership habit that you have that you kind of can't live without that helps you?
I am not great with routine. So I'm actually on the rebel side of things.
Yeah.
Routine actually stifles me and I feel like I have to rebel against it. But I've found ways to add consistent moments that aren't necessarily a routine. So I will elaborate on that. It's not that every morning I do the same thing, but I make sure that at different points in the day, I used to allow my calendar, for example, to be booked back to back to back to back to back. And without time to transition in between and without time to emotionally regulate between tough conversations. And now I make sure that I put intentional space, whether it's in the morning and I have coffee with my husband or walk the dogs, or in the middle of the day, just pause, close my door, or go outside. I think that for me is critical, is again being aware of my emotions and my energy and what that looks like, and finding when I need to hold some space to regulate.
I love that. And I love the permission, Amber. And I agree with this too, that you can have a habit, That doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen every other day, and it doesn't even have to be the same thing. But what you're saying is you're creating space and maybe some presence, and that could look like a cup of coffee, it could look like a walk, it could look like a break in your calendar, but you know that that's a piece of you that's important for you to stay regulated. And I agree, I think it puts a lot of pressure on people because of social media to see the morning routine. No, that
Mhm.
doesn't happen every day. Sometimes like the teeth are getting brushed at the 11th hour before you log on to a call. That's okay, but maybe later in the day you're scheduling some time to be able to be present and calm. So I appreciate that permission of
Yeah.
anti-perfectionism here with the
Yeah,
routines.
thank you. I like putting the words to it, the language. I think that's exactly it. It's that, for a long time I tried to force a routine on myself that wasn't working, and I realized that's not me. And for some people that is how it works for them, but I found another way. And interesting, one of the things I do fairly regularly is it used to be I would be on my email or news or social media right before bed every night. And I read, but it has to be like a non
Treat.
yeah. Yeah, it just has to be like a book that like a nonsense book, absolute yeah, like can't be I don't want to learn anything from this book.
I
That is my rule.
I
So,
love watching I like either a beach read or watching House Hunters because
yes.
it's just like totally
Yeah.
neutral.
Yes. And that's helped with my sleep. So again, it stops my brain from trying to solve problems and worrying about what I've got to book and get ready for tomorrow.
I'm so excited to ask this question because I'm very curious. What would you be doing if you weren't a general manager?
That is a great question. Now, is this a question of whether I have the skill to do it or if I was just dreaming?
No, dream you
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
pretend you've got the skill.
Okay, great. So when I was younger, I would have definitely said professional athlete, rock star, something that was big out front and a performer. And now I found a little shift that I have a thing where I really want to have a big impact. So I would want to be out cleaning the oceans or doing something where I felt that was again going back to leaving it better than I found it. So I have shifted from that. I am a Leo that need to be the front person and deliver entertainment to actually feeling more wow, would I like to make a bigger impact on the planet or people?
Would agree that you are making an impact, Amber, but I get that you may be maybe on the environmental side. We'll
Yes,
come up with a retirement plan for you.
yes.
My last question, what's the best leadership advice you've ever received?
Let every conversation be coming from a place of you're going to do the right thing, not the easy thing, but that you will always leave everyone involved with their dignity. And that is by far the best information I've been given. And another way that was said to me is make sure what you say is both helpful and truthful, not one or the other. My interpretation of that and how I've taken that into my leadership style is often the higher you get up, the more responsibility and accountability, the tougher decisions you have to make. And I don't shy away from those decisions. I always make sure that they're coming from what I believe is the best interest of the organization or the people. But I always go into those conversations wanting whoever is hearing it or involved to walk out with as much dignity as they came in. And so I really, really am thoughtful in conversations and decision making on that. I think that that's where sometimes I've seen people struggle in leadership. The most aggressive emotional reaction you will receive from somebody is when they feel like you have injured their dignity. I try very hard not to do that and let people leave with their head held high, even if it isn't the decision they were hoping for.
Beautiful. Thank you, Amber. Thank you so much for your time and for your generosity and for your presence. And I can't wait to see you in Florida.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. This is amazing. I can't wait to see you in October.
See you very soon. Thanks, Amber.
Thank you.